Hello, Austin County. Today I am here with a returning guest that we like very much, Mr. Stephen Burnett. He is with the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, and he is a disaster assessment and recovery specialist. Did I get all that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because you have that long title. You're one of those fancy people. Well, we're glad to have you back with us, and you're going to give us some great information about emergency preparedness and all the things that we need to do for both us and our pets and livestock, which of course is very important here because we are rural. But before I begin, I want to remind everybody to like and share our video and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see more great things, because Stephen's going to be coming back again. All right, well, I'm going to just turn it over to you since you're the expert. Okay. Tell us what we're doing here.
I am happy to be back. Just going to talk about some preparedness for the upcoming hurricane season.
Okay.
Due to recent events that we had last year, like Burl and the tornadoes that came through and the high winds and stuff, and some of the flooding, I just want to come out and give everybody some preparation stuff that so they can get ready.
Yeah, because I would say around here, they're not hurricanes, now flooding, yes, and some high winds, but hurricanes, not so much. So
well, we get some of the remnants of the hurricane, you know, the rain and the flooding and maybe some tornadoes. So, but I just want to make sure that everybody is considers whether you want to be a victim or a survivor.
Yeah.
And we always want to be that survivor.
Absolutely.
So some of the 5 steps of emergency management I wanted to go over were prevention, where you focus on preventing hazards from occurring, such as natural disasters, technological issues, and human-caused hazards, which could be somebody setting a fire or, you know, things like wrecks from 18-wheelers or train wrecks, things like that. Mitigation, you want to mitigate things at your house or your job before the disaster strikes.
Okay,
so make sure you get everything ready to. Okay,
like that. Would that be boarding up your windows?
Boarding your windows, picking up your loose objects like your patio furnitures, you know, chairs and things outside, anything like kids' toys.
Even dog houses. A lot of people don't think about dog houses.
Unless they're strapped down, you know, but, you know, you got to bring them puppies inside. So.
Oh, well, the dogs, of course. But
be prepared. Identify different types of resources and expertise in advance. I'm a resource. Okay. So planning how to use them in disasters. Your response. What phase of emergency management? That's where emergency teams are deployed to help. That's part of my job, is deploying to come in and help do damage assessments and recovery. Okay. And I can help with the mitigation also. The recovery phase, that's where everyone works together to get things back as normal as quickly as possible. They are going to start with the essential stuff first. Okay. You know, like your police, your fire, EMS, your grocery stores, your power companies, your water supplies, things like that. They're going to try to get that back online first. And then they'll start looking at the folks. I mean, they're going to be helping the folks. Right. But they need to get that essential stuff back online, especially the hospitals.
Yeah, so you're basically, what you're saying is you're going to get in there, you're going to make sure that people who, you know, are coming back in, the electrical company's making sure there's no downed lines, all that good kind of stuff. All right, so we're making sure.
Now I'm going to talk about the Pet Evacuation Transportation Standards Act of 2006. This is something that amends the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, where FEMA has to ensure that state and local emergency preparedness operational plans address the needs of individuals with household pets, service animals prior to, during, and following a major disaster emergency. That says right there that they have to set up shelters so people can bring in their pets. Because like in Katrina, a lot of people didn't want to leave because they had pets.
Right.
Well, that act came out right after that. So not all shelters take pets.
Right.
But there are a lot that do. And we can set up a animal supply point where we can bring in feed and stuff like that for large animals. Or we can set up animal shelters outside of the human shelter. So their pets can be with them.
That's what I say. A lot of people think of pets, but I did not think of service animals. You always think, you know, Aunt Bertha and her 12 cats, but you don't think about Bob, who's blind and has a service dog.
There's a little difference there with service animals.
Yeah.
They'll take the service animals back then, but now they will take other animals too. Okay. And, you know, that way people can leave. because if they don't leave, there's a lot of times that those rescuers can't go back and get them
Right.
before something bad happens. So,
Right. And that's true. And people, especially these days, a lot of people, their pets are their family. They consider them family. I'm one of those. But anyway, okay.
So we want to look at our animal evacuation. You got livestock for this county. I know we've got equine, cattle, poultry, swine, sheep, goats, rabbits, and other kind of animals. Our household animals, they range from dogs, cats. Some people have amphibians and reptiles.
Nope.
Don't like spiders and snakes myself, but some people do. Birds and other type of animals like gerbils and hamsters and things like that.
All right.
But how many do you have? And do you have a way to evacuate them if you need to?
I was going to say, because the thing is you say, okay, I have a cat carrier or a dog carrier. But if you have 5 cats and 1 carrier, you're kind of in trouble.
So you need to prepare for that. Or if you have to leave and you have to leave your animals there, make sure they have food and water.
Yeah.
So, for preparing your livestock for before disaster, make sure that their permanent identification of the herd, or if you have a brand or their ears are tagged, that's registered. Livestock need 3% of feed per body weight per day. So plan for 14 days during the disaster. If you got neighbors, make sure you got written agreements to assist each other during those times. If you got hay, you can loan it, help them out. Keep your veterinarian's contact numbers available when packing up your documents or in your phone.
I say, but that's important. I didn't even think about that there again for your pets, because I know we went to kennel one of our dogs and they would not let them in unless they had proof that they had vaccination or whatever against kennel cough.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
Well,
all these little things you don't think of that add up to big things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I keep my little dog Snoopy. I keep his records in a 3-ring binder, and I just throw it in a suitcase if we have to leave.
I didn't even think of
that. And that's easy, so all his stuff's there. And I have the number to the veterinarian, if we have to call and say, hey, I forgot this paper, can you help me out? So, and they will. So.
Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. I want to go back to the livestock.
Okay.
3% of feed per body weight per day.
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, if you have a herd of cattle, yikes, that's a lot.
It's a lot of hay.
A lot of hay, a lot of nuggets, a lot of but see, that's why I'm so glad you're here, because most people don't think of that. I mean, they think, okay, we'll put a couple of bales of hay out. Life is good, but yeah.
No, it's a lot of round bales.
Yeah.
And a whole lot more square bales.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Post disaster documentation. Make sure you photograph everything, all the damage that you have. It doesn't matter if it's hurricane, flooding, wildfires, whatever. Document that information.
Okay.
And to your barns, your fences, equipment, trailers, home, everything. You need to report that damage to your insurance agent first.
Okay.
That's what they want you to do. Then you go to Farm Service Agency, the FSA, Natural Resources Conservation Service for your livestock, crops, and fencing. There are debris managements that you can take care of. Notify the county for trees in the road, DOT, or the county commissioners,
All right.
to get that stuff moved. If it's in your driveway, you're probably going to move it yourself so you can get out, because a lot of people, producers and stuff already have tractors, so they're going to move it themselves
Right.
so they can get their stuff out. Livestock carcass disposal. So if you have animals that have passed due to the storm or whatever, you need to follow the TCEQ guidelines. And also get a hold of you can call me, and I can, our Stacy Villarreal, the ag agent here in town, and we can help you contact other people you need to contact.
I was just saying, we'll put all your information, as much information we can, at the end. So if anybody has anything, prepare for your email and phone to blow up.
That's fine. That's what I'm there for.
All right.
Burning of any debris may require a permit depending on the size.
Yeah. That's,
so
I'll just say, I've sat in commissioner's court, and that's a big deal. Moving, burning, stacking.
Now, some of the disposals of carcass, TCQ might have you bury it. If it's a lot, they might come in and help you take care of it with a trench burner, where you dig a big hole and put them all in there and then burn it and then cover it up.
Oh, okay.
It depends. That happened in Galveston during Ike. They used trench burners because there was so much that they had to take care of.
Yeah.
And but it depends on what it is and how big it is, things like that.
Yeah, it's even a big herd of cows that unfortunately, succumb to whatever from the storm. That's, people don't realize, I mean, people around here do, but other people don't realize how big cows are. They think cows are these little fluffy things. They don't realize they're
It's a lot of meat on them.
huge. I was going to say, they don't realize they're huge creatures.
And then they got their babies. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the post-disaster assistance that you can look at is a STAR fund through the Texas Department of Agriculture. The United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, it has a disaster assistance programs, a Farm Service Agency, post-disaster loans and incentive programs. And then you have the FEMA disaster recovery. And they'll, usually when it's a large incident, they'll set up disaster sites, FEMA will, to start helping people get the paperwork done.
Yeah, so that, now, do they have like two different ones? Like if I'm coming to say, hey, I've lost my cattle versus, hey, I've lost my house?
No, you'll still do your insurance first.
Okay.
Notify me, and we'll also get you in there to see FEMA once they set up their stuff.
Okay.
But
I was going to say, people need to take a good look at you because they're going to see you running around, right?
yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'll be running around with Stacy. We'll talk about the rule of 3.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food.
Yikes.
That's what we're looking at. So, but the biggest one you want to look at is 3 seconds without a survivor's attitude. If you get that victim attitude,
Right.
it's not good for you. We want you to have that survivor attitude where you're taking care of yourself first and then take care of your family. Once your family's taken care of, then start looking out for your neighbors. You might have elderly neighbors that live next door and you want to take out, make sure that they're okay also.
So it's kind of like when you're in the airplane and they say the air oxygen mask drops, put yours on first and then check your neighbors.
Yes, ma'am. Especially those little kids.
Oh, yeah.
So we look at what type of disasters could affect your community. Our natural ones we always know. We got hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, flooding, drought, and winter storms.
Right.
We haven't had a winter storm in, quite a while. I think it was, 21 we had the freeze.
Yeah, shh. Don't bring it on us.
Well, I'm not going to wood.
Yeah.
And, but it's out there.
Right.
This year, we're hoping we don't have this problem, but there is parts of Texas that are already starting to see drought problems. And we're still having wildfires.
I was just saying, I thought there were some wildfires. Thankfully, they're not ours.
Last year, it was over 1 million acres in the Panhandle, and they're still recuperating from that. But, Texas is resilient. We come back. So, but we're expecting, 14 to 18 hurricanes named this year?
No. Nope.
That's what you're saying named. Nope. But I think they said that 9 were going to become major, and Texas was expecting to get at least 1.
Nope.
But we're hoping not. But
I say no.
Get prepared. Stay prepared for anything. Some of your man-made disasters could be terrorism, hazardous material spills. We've got the train that goes through this county. We've also got 18-wheelers pulling all kinds of stuff. Do you know what kind of stuff is in those boxes, those trucks that say Walmart on the side?
Nope.
There's all kinds of stuff in there.
I can only imagine.
Not picking on Walmart.
Yeah.
Fires, they could be accidental or arson or industrial. Yeah. Now, we do have some plants around here, so we have to watch out for that too.
Well, I was going to say, even people don't realize, even things like grain elevators. I didn't realize that, you do the wrong thing, poof, that grain elevator goes up.
They are very explosive. I saw one in outside of Bay City, Texas, back, 20 years ago, that blew up, and it unfortunately killed a few people, but those things are highly explosive. Yeah, it's the dust.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people don't quite realize that, you're not just talking about, like you said, terrorism or whatever. I mean, it could be Bob flicks a cigarette, and there you go. So not picking on Bob.
So we'll talk about some of these different storms that we just mentioned. For hurricanes, you got 5 days that they can tell you that hurricane's coming our direction.
Right.
Now, it might change direction or not, but you got 5 days notice. Relocate to a safe area away from the coastline. Well, we don't live too close to the coast. Some of our relatives might. My mother lives close to the coast.
I was going to say, let me tell you my little story here real quick before we go on. I moved from the coast in Beaumont down here up here. And I thought, I'm safe. Hurricane Beryl came, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
I move away. Hurricane. Go ahead.
Move your livestock to the highest ground or evacuate if possible. Sometimes if you got a massive herd, you're not going to be able to get them out because, you can put 40, 45 cattle in a trailer.
Where are you going to take them?
Where are you taking them? Exactly. Yeah. And threats from a hurricane are a combination of high winds, damage, and flood. And sometimes we just get the flood. So
yeah.
If you're near the coast, water and vegetation could be compromised due to salt water. Well, that could be a possibility even with the flooding.
Yeah.
It depends on the river. That river could back up and get salt water in it, and then it gets out into the crops.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, you also have to watch for the animals because I know, like I said, I'm talking about Beaumont, but, when they had one of the real bad hurricanes, they had gators walking down the road because they had been washed up. And, snakes in places they had never had snakes, people's houses, and because they went up like into the cabinets and stuff to get out of the water. And so.
Well, I had some flooding when I lived in Ingleside, and we had the neighbor, his pond overflowed, and we had 3 foot of water in the yard and about 1.5 feet of water on the road, and there were fish swimming across the road.
Wow.
We were out there trying to catch them.
Wow.
So, tornadoes. Be aware of the storm's path. You don't have very much time once you find out a tornado's coming. I think the longest time frame now is that they had recorded was 39 minutes.
Wow.
Because they were able to track it before it hit a place in Kansas. But that doesn't mean that it's always going to be like it. It's usually seconds. So if you don't have a storm shelter, which we're in an area that you can't dig in the ground with a storm shelter, move to the center of the room of your house. Okay, it's usually you want to find a place that has no windows.
Right.
Move or contain small livestock in temporary shelter, which varies by species. Sometimes during a tornado, you might not have that type of time to do that.
Right.
After the storm, check for sharp objects and debris before you start walking around and doing stuff. Check your home, barns, feed places, your fences and trees. Threats are everywhere. You might have snakes. You might have limbs that are just barely hanging on. You walk under and it falls on you. Be careful. Some roads may be impassable or closed due to flooding or just a lot of debris on it. So look at your trees, and debris may block entry for your livestock or to your livestock.
And people always forget those down power lines. That's the dangerous
thing. Do not get out of your car.
Yeah.
Stay in your car and do not drive over them.
Right.
So, flooding. We don't want to drive through that hot water. If told to evacuate, do it safely. And when they say evacuate, they mean it. Get out. And do not move signs that say do not drive through here. They're there for a reason. Too many people move the signs and drive in, and then you have to go rescue them.
I was going to say, and what they don't realize is, they say, well, somebody will come rescue me. You're putting somebody else's life in danger because you didn't follow a simple direction like turn around.
Yes, ma'am. And that's what that's there for. Turn around, don't drown.
Right.
So you want to avoid areas with a history of flooding, like pastures, creeks, and tributaries. Tributaries, yeah, I'll get it right. Moving your equipment and livestock to higher ground.
Yeah.
Try to reduce the amount of damage to that. A lot of farmers have places that they can do that.
Right.
And so the threat is your flash flooding and river flooding can happen quickly and wash out roads, even though that that road was there this morning.
Right.
Overnight it rained and flooded, and that road might not be there now.
Right.
So, because some of those culverts are big, 4 to 6 foot, or an old wooden bridge.
Right.
Well, you've got debris coming down that creek or river, and now it's gone.
I was saying, and it's coming quickly. It's like a battering ram, and it sounds terrible. Even if you would have dead animals, somebody loses a cow, it gets stuck in that culvert, and now you've got water where water's never been. So
it could damage grazing pastures and cause debris in livestock drinking water, because a lot of times that water is, it's flowing in the pasture.
Right.
And what's in that pasture? If you've got livestock, what have they been doing in that pasture?
Right.
They've been doing their business. Well, all that's in the water now.
Right.
And if it gets into the creeks and the rivers and stuff, what else is in that from coming upstream, downstream?
I was saying, even like you talked about equipment. I mean, what if somebody's tractor got pushed in there and now you've got gasoline and diesel and oil and
Grease and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out for that. Make sure that you've got a way to get your livestock fresh water. The next thing is something very important to me, and it should be important to everybody, is making your plan.
All right.
Start by getting informed, watching these podcasts. Come see me. Call me on the phone.
Right.
I'll help you out where you get more information, not just from me, but from other sites. Make sure that when you're doing your plan, you have everybody in the family sitting at that table.
Right.
Even the kids. I got a 10-year-old grandson that we sat down with him, helping my daughter get her set up. And he had ideas that even me, as old as I am, didn't even think about. And I've been in this business 35 years. And it's nice to get those younger kids' inputs because they see things that we don't. And it's a new set of eyes.
I was saying, and they're part of the family.
Yes.
They need to be invested in what's going on.
They need to know, what's in that plan and where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and things like that.
Right.
Make sure that the folks that are not in, the family that is not there, they live other places, and your friends, make sure they know what your plan is.
Right.
Where are you going to go? Am I coming to you?
Yeah. I mean, it's true because once the chaos starts, nobody, cell phone lines go down and, you're trying to call and you're getting busy or nothing. And
Text still works.
Oh, that's true.
So,
but that's
you can still do that, but,
Yeah, but you still have to know, like I said, send that one text message because everybody's going to be jamming the lines.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that says, I'm on my way, and they know.
And that's why the plan, they have a plan with certain phone companies that you can get on if you're a first responder, that it goes in and your call goes through.
Right.
Because you're trying to communicate with other responders.
Right.
It'll go through over the top of other people's.
Right. And that's good because we need them.
Make sure that you have a plan for your livestock needs. What are you going to do with them? Where are you going to take them? Or if you're going to leave them? And how you going to who's going to take care of them? Or
right.
What you need to make sure that they're going to be okay. Can you get back in to check on them? Build a kit if you're going to stay. So if you've got a chemical leak or something, you're going to stay, you're going to need certain things in that kit.
Right.
Duct tape, plastic sheeting so you can close up all the vents, the doors, the windows, tape over everything with the plastic and the duct tape. And it's going to get hot in there.
But better than...
Yeah, if you have ceiling fans, you can still run those because they're just circulating the air. It's still going to be hot, but make sure all the ventilation vents, AC is off.
Right.
Doors and windows are all taped up and good stuff like that. Even your microwave vent that goes outside, need to cover that up too.
See, I never knew that.
So that's the one thing that people forget about.
Right.
By having every member involved in the plan, everybody has an input, and everybody will know what to do in the event of a disaster.
Right.
Some of the other things you want to consider is communication.
Uh-oh, wait, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Okay.
Do you have out-of-town contacts or friends and relatives? That's something you need to have. And like I said earlier, use text versus calling because the lines are probably going to be jammed or down or something, but you can use text. Some of the skills that you need to learn, first aid and CPR for adult, child, and infant. I can take care of that for you.
I'll say I'm lucky. I have 2 nurses living on the property.
Well, that works.
So we're good with that.
So fire extinguisher use, the pass system, pull, aim, squeeze. There's another letter that goes in there now. Pull, aim, squeeze, test, and sweep.
So it's past.
Yes.
Past.
P-A-S-S-T or P-A-S-T-S, something like that. So, but you have to test it to make sure it works.
Right.
It might be say full, but it might not work. So always test it before you sweep. For your livestock, trailers, do you have enough? Do you have a big enough one? Feed, your medicine, any of your tack, You have any portable pens? I know my cousin, he has a gooseneck, and he has portable cattle pens strapped to the side of it on both sides that he can corral his cattle. And do you have the location of temporary shelters? For Austin County, we're working on the tactics plan that we have for animal issues right now is to use the fairgrounds to house large animals or any kind of livestock. And if that falls through or is got hit or something, we can use the sale barn out in going towards industry.
Okay, and if you're going to do those animals, you talked about tagging them. Obviously brands would be the best, I would think.
Yeah, and those need to be registered if you have brands.
Okay.
Identification tags. There is there's a program, and Stacy has more information on that. Okay. Because that's part of her Ag and Natural Resources program, where they tag the cattle. It's an ear tag is what it is.
Okay, so it's like your dogs and cats.
They have the rabies tags, and some of them have the little chips in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are fairly easy to identify who they are.
Right.
With the chips. So
not so much on a cow.
No. Okay. So I don't know. You might be able to put one in there, but that'd be fun to watch.
And fun to try to scan them because they.
Oh yeah. So.
I'm sorry, I could just see that running out behind them. Come here.
So we're going to look at our family next, which is always number one to us.
Right.
Your survivor's attitude will flow to your family, and they will have the same attitude to survive as you do, as long as they see that confidence in you as the leader. They'll follow along with you. Talk to them. Get everybody calm down, and say, look, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Let's make it happen.
Right.
How long will it take for you to gather all your essential items needed to evacuate? In under an hour, including pets and livestock. Can you do it? Have you practiced it?
Mm-hmm. And practice. That's what people forget.
Yeah. You remember when we were going to school as kids, they were always saying practice your fire drills.
Right.
Well, it's just not fire drills anymore.
That's right.
Are you evacuating?
I was saying with the family too, it sounds, like especially your kiddos, if you're trying to do stuff and, I want to take my blanket and, I want to take all my Legos and stuff, talking about, okay, guys, we have this one Lego kit we're going to take with us for you to play with, but you can't take all the Legos, and practicing that would, be less of a hassle.
Oh, yeah.
That they would already know, okay, we don't do this, Well,
when you're doing stuff like that and you're making those plans, a lot of kids have these handheld games. They got them on their phones. They got I think they're called a Switch or Switch 2 or whatever. Those things have to be charged.
Right.
Okay. Take games. That's fine until the battery runs out.
Right.
But take games that they can play like board games or card games, things like that. And coloring books.
Yeah.
So
paper.
You gotta take stuff like that, or create a game in the car as you're traveling. Do you find a doodlebug, which a VW Beetle?
Right.
You don't see very many of those anymore.
No, and that'll keep them busy.
Or do you see a license plate with a letter on it? Give them a letter. And we used to, as I got older, we used to play a game with the 18-wheelers. They had the signs on the back.
Right.
And I had a emergency response guide. It's called the ERG, because my parents were firefighters, and Dad would throw it in the back seat and say, "Hey, tell me what that one is." So that's how I learned to use an ERG.
Oh my!
So, just in summary, we want to know what disasters can affect your community. Look at those. See where you're at. How close are you to the tracks? How close are you to the highway? For these big trucks coming through. Make sure that you got a plan with your family to stay or go. And if you're going to go, don't hesitate. Leave.
Right.
If you're going to stay, then make sure you got the stuff that you can stay in your home for 72 hours without any assistance. Build that stay and go kits for your family, your pets, and your livestock. Now, we know that for our families that we have to have our medicines. We need 3 gallons of water per person per day. So if you've got a family of 9, that's a lot of water, isn't it? So And you might have to ration that water because, some folks like me, I can drink 3 gallons of water in a half a day.
Right.
So make sure that you got enough water. Fill up your bathtub. Fill up any kind of water jugs or anything like that you can store in your garage, because you might need that water to rinse your hands or flush your toilet.
Right.
Because you might not have no water.
I was like, our moms get at that. When we had the Hurricane Beryl, we went out to the pump house and she had 37, milk jugs full of water, and it was wonderful because, like you said, we need to flush the toilet and things like that, and there it was.
Well, you put those water bottles, like distilled water or fresh water bottles, fill them back up, put them in your freezer, or your milk jugs, rinse them out real good, and put them in your freezer. You got ice, and then when it thaws out, you got drinking water.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Make sure you learn CPR, first aid, and fire extinguisher use. If you want to go to the fire station, they're more than happy to show you how to use the fire extinguisher and let you play with it.
I'm saying, and they scare me. I mean, my brother-in-law's a firefighter, but still they scare me. I guess because you always see them in the movies. People use them, and then, you got fire extinguisher stuff everywhere, and that's always my fear. I'll be spraying it everywhere, and the fire's still burning,
Always spray at the base of the flame.
Yeah, they say that, but you get scared.
And most of all, make sure you're a survivor, not a victim.
Right.
You want to be that survivor. You want to live another day.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So that next one is some resources that you can
and
go over.
We'll get all that set straight.
Yeah. And then I have a ISTAT, which is individual state assistance reporting for if you have any kind of damage. It's the Texas Department of Emergency Management, ISTAT.
Okay.
And there's a QR code on there that you can go to report any damage. And then you can follow us on social media for AgriLife at the Facebook,
Twitter,
and
Instagram.
Yeah. I don't know all those symbols, so.
That's all right. I do, so we're good.
You got any questions for me?
I was going to say, actually, what I want to know is, what is the biggest question you get from people when you present this? Like, I could ask you 700 questions, but I was just curious what most people ask.
How do I start building my kit?
Okay.
And what do I have to have in my plan?
Now, do you tell them go download something, or?
No, I have when I do a class, I give them a checklist of things that, it's just basic stuff that could be in your kit. Okay. You can add to it. You don't have to have everything that I have on my list for them, but it's a basic list. It's a full page for stay and go.
Okay.
And it's just check stuff, but you can add to it if you want to. And I prefer that you add to it because there's some things that I might have forgot that you said, oh, I need that.
Right.
Put it in there. But set these kits up in waterproof totes or the plastic totes with the clamp-on lids.
Right.
And put it in your garage or put it in a closet. And that's food and water and things like that. But after a certain period of time, go in there about every quarter. Go in there and check the stuff.
Right.
Check the dates. If the dates are coming due, use that and replace it.
Yeah.
A lot of things that you can do for your kits or use to build your kits is already in your house.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. They say, oh, well, I got to go buy this. No, go through your house and you'll find it.
Yeah.
If you're going to stay, make sure that you have hand tools inside the house in case you go into a room and you need to get out, but the door is blocked or something and you need to get out. You got sledgehammers, pry bars, and things like that. If you wind up having to get up in the attic, you need that stuff in the attic too.
That's true.
Take it with you when you go up there. I bought my wife a battery-powered chainsaw, 80-volt cobalt chainsaw. If we have to get up in our attic because of that, I can take that up there because it doesn't require gasoline.
Right. No fumes.
And I've got 4 batteries, so I could take them up there. They always stay charged. I could take them up there, and I can get out of that house in the attic if I need to.
I was just saying, they even, like you said about the fire extinguishers, because people think, okay, it's a disaster, but you don't realize, what if a pipeline or something has, ruptured and you have a fire? You might be the first person out there before the fire department can get there. I mean, obviously you want to do everything safely, but, you never know. You might be the one that puts out Aunt Bertha's fire next door. And
something else to think about is, do you have fire extinguisher in your house?
Right.
at least one regular fire extinguisher in the house somewhere by a door, like the front door or the back door. Yeah, it can be gaudy looking, but it's protection. Do you have one in the kitchen? And it's one of those white ones. You get those at Lowe's or Home Depot. Tractor Supply, you can buy those and just hang them on the wall.
I said, well, see, I'm cowardly, so I bought myself the fire blanket.
Those are good too.
Okay, because my thought is with my gas stove or butane stove, you know, if something would happen, I catch something on fire, I could just throw it over the top of it, turn the burners off and throw it over the top.
I have one of those too.
Okay, so good.
I have extinguishers and being a firefighter, you know, I have extinguishers and blankets. So,
right.
Because I've been to too many house fires where it started in the kitchen.
Right.
So.
All right. So
do not spray water or throw water on everything. Flour works, but don't throw water on a grease fire or anything like that, because it's just going to explode and go all over everywhere.
Right. Okay. So pretty much we've covered everything. We will make sure and get that checklist from you, and we'll have it all ready to download. And we really appreciate you being here.
Well, I'm glad you invited me back. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Sounds good. And before we sign off, I want to remind everybody, please like, share these videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's what helps us grow. And until next time, Austin County, keep smiling.